The story will be told from the perspective of the main female character. Get a life, Claire. My sister said this during her promotion party. Her voice silenced the sound of clinking glasses. The entire room went quiet. Her mean comment hung in the air. She smiled at the camera saying, "Stop hanging around successful folks." She acted like it was just a funny remark. Our parents gave a nervous laugh. Nobody spoke up for me. I just stayed seated, my pulse calm. Each insult she threw stuck in my mind. I didn't fight back or tear up. I simply smiled. She had no clue the company she was boasting about joining was my creation. The following morning, she received her welcome email. My name was clearly listed. This is when things started changing. Everyone always noted how different my older sister and I were. Chloe grabbed all the attention. She was loud, wore expensive perfume, and always knew what to say. I stayed quiet. People often forgot to introduce me when they talked about their talented daughter. She was the one they showcased. I was just part of the background. My family cared only about how things looked. For our parents, achievement meant posts about awards, anniversaries, and job titles. My sister provided those things often. Last year, she was called a rising star in marketing in the local paper. They framed the article and put it in the living room. My own graduation picture was stuck in a drawer somewhere. Early on, I understood that I had to earn any attention I got. When I was 12, I blew out my birthday cake candles by myself in the kitchen. Meanwhile, everyone was cheering for my sister's new dance trophy. "She is a firework," my father declared proudly. He glanced at me and chuckled. "And Claire is our little flashlight, steady and soft." They meant to be sweet. However, years of comments like that can still hurt. I chose to fit the roles they gave me, steady, quiet, and unseen. I spent my time studying, coding programs, and working hard. I created infrastructure that everyone relied on, but nobody ever saw. After college, my partner Ryan and I launched a small data company out of a wet garage. Our parents never even asked what we were doing. "That sounds nice, honey," my mother replied, quickly moving the topic to my sister's upcoming fashion show. 5 years later, that tiny company became one of the quickest growing technology firms in Atlanta. Only Ryan's name ever showed up in the news reports, and that was my choice. I like staying private instead of getting recognition. I controlled the finances, the back-end infrastructure, and all the systems. My identity remained on internal papers, never in headlines. It felt like freedom. Then about 4 weeks before her celebration, I found out she lost her job. She pretended it was just a small, insignificant problem. At a family brunch, she told us, "I'm fine. I'm applying downtown at a better place, a data firm. They are looking for budget analysts right now." Ryan sent me her resume the following day. He included a smug text. "Do you know this name?" I knew it instantly. I responded right away. "Offer her the job," I told him. He seemed confused. "Are you serious?" "Absolutely," I said. I felt revenge was unnecessary. Sometimes you only need to set the scene, keep quiet, and let reality take over. My sister came in on her first day with her usual energy. Her heels clicked loudly, sounding like applause. Her voice easily filled the whole office space. To everyone else, she was just a confident new employee. For me, she was the disruption I had invited. Ryan messaged me that morning. "She's here. Are you sure you want this?" "Just let her focus on her work," I replied. For the initial week, I kept my distance and worked remotely as always. I reviewed her project notes, her onboarding forms, and even the budget outlines she submitted early on. She was effective, quick, and good at persuading others. She charmed people in meetings, throwing out technical terms she barely grasped, but everyone enjoyed her lively attitude. They always did. When I visited the office after hours, I could faintly smell her perfume. A coffee cup marked with an initial C in gold marker sat next to the copier. I caught myself smiling slightly. This wasn't about punishing her. It was about giving her a clearer view. I wanted her to understand what actual work meant when recognition wasn't guaranteed. A week later, I noticed something about her behavior. I heard she had been gossiping in the break room. She told someone that our management was a little odd. She mentioned that a senior advisor apparently approved all major projects, but nobody had ever met this person. She thought the name was probably fake. That fake name was mine. Ryan called that evening. "She's getting curious about the sign-offs. Claire Iyer, she might be starting to connect the facts." "Let her wonder," I replied. Humility often starts with curiosity. At the next family brunch, my sister couldn't help but brag. "I'm finally at a serious place," she announced, glancing my way. "The kind of company where people actually accomplish things." Our parents looked very pleased. I just nodded and swirled the water in my glass. Every comment she made proved that she still confused loudness with real value. But then she added, "The structure is weird, though. Some woman named C is on all the finance documents. Never seen her. Maybe it's just a legal placeholder." My fork stopped midair. Ryan, who was sitting across from me, almost choked on his drink. I met his eye and shook my head slightly. My sister kept talking, totally unaware. Anyway, if she's real, she must be really old. No one that high up stays hidden forever. At that exact moment, my quiet patience vanished. I wasn't upset. I was done with waiting. Later that evening, after the office was empty and the city lights shone below my window, I logged into the internal system. I approved her first performance review myself. "Keep her," I typed. The important part was not firing her. It was allowing her to crash into the truth she had spent her life ignoring. By her second month, my sister fit perfectly into the company culture. Morning coffees, team photos, and talks about working hard. She believed she had found her place, and maybe for a short time she had, but being overly confident eventually catches up to you. That Tuesday, I received an alert. It was an internal request from the accounting department. Someone was trying to look at the executive approval logs. I instantly knew who it was. The username matched my sister's. Ryan called me immediately. "She's investigating things. Should I stop her access?" "No," I said, looking at the glowing screen. "Let her see." That night, after everyone else had gone home, she went through every file she could open. Project budgets, payment approvals, payroll details. She must have seen my initial C repeatedly. It might have felt like déjà vu, seeing a ghost signature above her own salary information. When I came into the building the following evening, I felt a shift in the mood. Her laugh was shorter now and sounded strained. She had started asking quiet questions during team meetings. Who actually authorizes the money? Anyone really know who the senior advisor is? She was getting closer to the truth. The collision was inevitable. That weekend, my partner and I prepared for the company's FTH anniversary gala. This event was meant to honor expansion, teamwork, and new ideas. For me, it had a different purpose. It was the moment my silence would finally speak for itself. I worked late in an empty conference room, finalizing paperwork. I heard the elevator chime. Heels clicked on the tile. Sharp, rhythmic steps. I didn't need to look up. "Claire." Her voice shook with shock and recognition. I slowly turned around. She stood in the doorway, clutching a paper folder against her chest. "You have authorization for the restricted files," she said. "You sign off on everything. The hearing, the budgets," her breath caught. "It's you." I met her gaze. "You told me to get a life, remember?" I gently shut my laptop. It turns out I was busy building one. My sister's face lost all its color. "You're the senior advisor. I am the co-founder." I corrected her simply. She let out a brief, brittle laugh. "This can't be real." "Look at the original filing papers if you need proof," I offered. "My name is on them." Silence took over the room. She looked down at the folder, then back at me. The realization was a heavy weight she couldn't handle. "I didn't bring you here just to shame you," I said softly. "You're good at the job. That's why I hired you. But I wanted you to learn what genuine respect feels like when you have to earn it." Her lip trembled, but she stayed silent. For the very first time, she had no response. When she finally left, the door didn't slam shut. It closed quietly, like an argument ending without a final blow. The night of the gala arrived. The atmosphere was charged with nerves and gold light. The banquet hall sparkled under the big lamps. Everything reflected success. Servers walked smoothly through the attendees with drinks. Laughter buzzed like electricity. Most people saw a celebration of innovation. I saw the night the truth would be revealed. My partner found me backstage adjusting my gown. His tie was slightly crooked. "Are you sure you want to do this?" he asked quietly. "You could stay anonymous forever and still win." I smiled weakly. "Winning is not the goal. Seeing clearly is." He nodded slightly, handed me my written notes, and whispered, "She's out there." I already knew. I could sense her presence, even through the thick curtain. My sister was always easy to locate. Her laughter, her scent, her way of commanding attention until others felt small. I could picture her in a shiny dress, holding a drink, soaking up the focus that had always come so easily. She was born for this kind of event. I was the one who built the company hosting it. The lights went down. The host's voice boomed over the speakers. Tonight, we honor 5 years of amazing success. Please welcome the 2 people who made this business possible, Ryan Shun and Claire Green. A huge wave of applause hit the ballroom. The bright spotlight shone directly on me, intense and blinding. I walked onto the stage next to my partner. The cheers sounded far away, as if I were underwater. Every flash of a camera felt like lightning. Then I saw my sister. She was frozen near the back, her smile dissolving into disbelief. Ryan spoke first, his delivery smooth and practiced. 5 years ago, we only had 2 computers, a coffee maker that barely functioned, and a big idea that somehow survived all the sleep deprivation. Tonight, we celebrate the team who turned that idea into reality. The audience laughed warmly. He gestured toward me, and for the first time, the woman who created everything behind the scenes is stepping into the spotlight. I took the microphone. My hands were steady. I have always preferred quiet. I started, my voice clear. Not because I had nothing to say, but because I wanted my accomplishments to speak first. A sudden quiet fell over the people. When we launched this company, I continued. People told us to try for smaller goals. They thought what we aimed for was too risky and too ambitious. But I learned something important. Sometimes the quietest people build the most significant legacies. Light applause spread across the room. I looked at my sister again. Her face was pale. Her glass was still lifted halfway. For years, I went on. I thought success meant being seen. I thought if nobody noticed you, it didn't matter. But I've learned visibility is not the true proof. Impact is. My partner smiled at my side. He was proud knowing this moment was about more than just business. It was about family and truth. I faced the crowd looking toward her. So tonight, I thank the supporters, the critics, and the people who taught me that being quiet isn't a sign of weakness. It's control. The applause erupted much louder this time. The cameras flashed nonstop. I let the noise wash over me. It felt like an ending, not a validation. I stepped off the stage, feeling light and detached. I walked toward the balcony to get some fresh air, moving past groups of people congratulating me. Their kind words were a blur. I smiled politely, but my mind was elsewhere. Outside, the air felt cold. The city lights reflected in the lake like broken gold lines. I leaned against the railing, finally feeling my heartbeat slow down. Claire. Her voice came from behind me. It was small but sharp like breaking glass. I turned around. My sister stood there framed by the lights of the hall. Her eyes were red-rimmed, and her mouth was trembling. She had lost her effortless composure. "So it's real," she whispered. "You are the co-founder." I nodded. She laughed, a sound that lacked emotion. "You let me work for you. You watched me act like I was the expert on everything." "You did your job well," I said simply. She blinked rapidly. "Don't say that. Don't pretend this isn't a big deal. I embarrassed you and you." Her voice cracked. "You never defended yourself." There was nothing to defend. I replied, "You weren't criticizing me. You were criticizing the person you believed I was." Her hands gripped her small purse. "And what was that person?" "Someone below you." She looked away. The sound of the water behind us was soft. "You could have told me," whispered. "And would you have listened?" I asked. Her silence answered me clearly. "I wasn't looking for revenge," I continued calmly. "I simply wanted the truth to reach you. Sometimes the only way to teach respect is to let someone stumble upon it themselves." Tears filled her eyes. "You must despise me." I shook my head. "No, I just stopped needing you to understand me." She wiped her cheek. Her voice shook. "I was terrible to you." "Yes," I said quietly. "But that is over." She took a step closer. "How can you be so calm? If someone did that to me, I'd want to destroy them." I met her eyes. "That is the main difference between us." She stared for a long moment, her expression shifting between guilt and amazement. "You are a better person than I am." "No," I said. "I just learned when to stop trying to prove it." The ballroom doors opened. Laughter and light spilled out. The crowd inside was chanting Ryan's name, asking for another speech. He looked in our direction, but didn't interrupt. My sister's voice became softer. "I don't deserve your understanding." This isn't understanding. I corrected her. It's seeing things clearly. We stood there for a moment. The air between us was no longer competitive. It was a rare quiet. She broke the silence first. I won't be at brunch for a while, she said, giving a half smile through her tears. But I will come when I can truly look you in the eye. I will be here, I promised. When she walked away, the click of her heels faded away like a confession. I remained on the balcony for some time. The night felt soft on my skin. The city lights below were bright and uncaring. I reflected on the years spent creating a life where I didn't need external validation. Stepping into the light tonight wasn't about glory. It was about balance. Later, I returned to the ballroom. Ryan found me near the food tables. So, he said, handing me a glass of water. How does it feel to be famous? I laughed quietly. Tiring. He tilted his head toward the door she had exited. She'll come around. I know, I said. She always does. It just takes her longer to recognize what's real. He raised his glass to quiet victories. I clinked to mine against his, the only kind that lasts. When I got home, the excitement was gone, replaced by a deep calm. I took off my shoes, placed the award on the counter, and opened my computer. A new email from my sister was waiting. It had no subject, no apology, just one sentence. Thank you for showing me what success actually looks like. I stared at the message. A slow smile spread across my face. I typed back. It's not about being seen. It's about building something worth seeing. When I hit send, the city outside hummed softly, a pattern I had learned perfectly. For the first time in years, the silence around me felt like peace, not protection. 2 weeks after the event, the office felt subtly different, lighter, as if the whole place had sighed in relief. People talked about the gala for days, replaying the moment I appeared on stage. But my sister's change surprised me most. She still dressed perfectly and arrived early, but her manner had changed. She no longer led with bravado. She actually listened. She began asking questions instead of giving orders. One afternoon, I walked past a meeting room and heard her advising 2 interns. She calmly explained the budgeting process. It was strange and satisfying to witness. Later that night, I found her alone in the break room organizing notes. She looked up slightly hesitant. I'm still learning things, she said quietly. Me too, I replied. She gave a small, genuine smile. I never thought we would talk like this. Neither did I said. But some stories are better when neither person is trying to win. We stood there for a moment. The hum of the vending machine was the only noise between us. For the first time in many years, it was not silence. It was peace earned the hard way. A month later, I approved the quarterly final payroll. Among the names and numbers, one entry stood out. Chloe, project lead for the mentorship program she had created herself. I paused, smiling gently. There was no pride or need for revenge left in me, just calm satisfaction. I leaned back, watching the sunset illuminate my desk. Sometimes justice doesn't need cheering. Sometimes it appears simply in the small details, like a sister's name on a project she finally deserved. If you have ever been underestimated, remember this. Silence is not giving up. It is a powerful move. Whispered. And would you have listened? I asked. Her silence answered me, clearly. I wasn't looking for revenge, I continued calmly. I simply wanted the truth to reach you. Sometimes the only way to teach respect is to let someone stumble upon it themselves. Tears filled her eyes. You must despise me. I shook my head. No, I just stopped needing you to understand me. She wiped her cheek. Her voice shook. I was terrible to you. Yes, I said quietly. But that is over. She took a step closer. How can you be so calm? If someone did that to me, I'd want to destroy them. I met her eyes. That is the main difference between us. She stared for a long moment, her expression shifting between guilt and amazement. You are a better person than I am. No, I said. I just learned when to stop trying to prove it. The ballroom doors opened. Laughter and light spilled out. The crowd inside was chanting Ryan's name, asking for another speech. He looked in our direction, but didn't interrupt. My sister's voice became softer. I don't deserve your understanding. This isn't understanding. I corrected her. It's seeing things clearly. We stood there for a moment. The air between us was no longer competitive. It was a rare quiet. She broke the silence first. I won't be at brunch for a while, she said, giving a half smile through her tears. But I will come when I can truly look you in the eye. I will be here, I promised. When she walked away, the click of her heels faded away like a confession. I remained on the balcony for some time. The night felt soft on my skin. The city lights below were bright and uncaring. I reflected on the years spent creating a life where I didn't need external validation. Stepping into the light tonight wasn't about glory. It was about balance. Later, I returned to the ballroom. Ryan found me near the food tables. So he said, handing me a glass of water. How does it feel to be famous? I laughed quietly. Tiring. He tilted his head toward the door she had exited. She'll come around. I know, I said. She always does. It just takes her longer to recognize what's real. He raised his glass to quiet victories. I clinked mine against his, the only kind that lasts. When I got home, the excitement was gone, replaced by a deep calm. I took off my shoes, placed the award on the counter, and opened my computer. A new email from my sister was waiting. It had no subject, no apology, just one sentence. Thank you for showing me what success actually looks like. I stared at the message. A slow smile spread across my face. I typed back, it's not about being seen. It's about building something worth seeing. When I hit send, the city outside hummed softly, a pattern I had learned perfectly. For the first time in years, the silence around me felt like peace, not protection. 2 weeks after the event, the office felt subtly different, lighter, as if the whole place had sighed in relief. People talked about the gala for days.